Please go ahead, ma'am. We are live now.
Yeah. So good afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to have all of you over here. I am Ranjita Ghosh, advisor, ASSOCHAM Eastern and Northeastern region. We express our heartiest gratitude to our guest of honor, our guest speakers, and all the attendees for this much awaited session. This is a very interesting webinar on Sikkim Agro sector, logistic challenges and solutions. Our focus this time is mainly on the tribals and backward areas. So it would be a power-packed discussion today on this, this initiative by ASSOCHAM. Before we start the much-awaited webinar, we request you to please put your mobile phones on silent mode and kindly mute the audio when listening to the speaker. So, as the name suggests, we will focus on the dynamics of agro sector, logistics, and challenges faced by especially the tribals of Sikkim, who make the core of this agriculture sector in Northeast. Their role as farmers and farming is an important part for this state. We have with us today a very very eminent panelist over here. So let me take you through the program schedule today before we start with the discussions. So we would have a welcome address by our director Parminder Jeet Kaur. Then the keynote address by Dr. Diwakar Hegre. He is the general manager and OIC NABARD. And then we will have Shri Anurag Singh. He is the Managing Director, Primus Partners, India. Then we would be releasing our knowledge paper for the day. And we are very thankful for our guest of honor, Mr. N. Shivasalam. He is the former IS Special Secretary, Logistic, Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. And thank you to our guest of honor, Shri M.T. Sherpa, SCS, Secretary, Department of Horticulture, Government of Sikkim. Welcome, sir. So apart from this, we have discussions on in our plenary session. We have our eminent guest speakers, Mr. Prashant Jalan, Managing Director, Bengal Nestor Industries Limited, Mr. Omlan Basu, Managing Director, ABS Group, Mr. Manu Chaudhary, Managing Director, Prakriti Organic Farm Fresh Private Limited, Mr. Jaydeep Raha, President, Northeast SCLA, Mr. Santanam Raghavan, former country head, Supply Chain Management, Standard Chartered Bank. So I would like to now call upon our Director, Eastern and Northeastern Region, Madam Parminder Jeet Kaur, who has been actively and immensely working on behalf of ASSOCHAM, bringing the key people on board to create a solution-based platform for the Northeastern region. Over to Parminder ji for the welcome address, please.
Thank you so much, Ranjita. Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to all of you. Eminent leaders on the dais of this virtual platform. At ASSOCHAM, our mission is to work towards engagement with corporate leaders and the business owners for the betterment of the policy support, economic diversity, and the development of the leaders. And in this whole journey, our corporate members and the industry experts, such as the ones who are with us today, are the source of inspiration who have been contributing significantly to our work. And when it comes to Northeast of India, we are honored and privileged that the kind of support we get from the government agencies and as well as from the industry members to take up the development agenda and align ourselves to the government missions and the vision of the country, the central governments and the state governments. And in this new world order, this kind of virtual enablements are letting us engage today while we are in the different parts of the country or sitting in different locations. Generally, when we hear of the Northeast, I mean, in past several decades, the story was that the place is amazing and there should be something which should be done about the challenges which are being faced But let me start the conversation today by saying that in past few years, less than a decade, I would say, there has been specialized emphasis on the development projects. There is visible effort to see that the fate of the people change in the region. And the agencies such as NABARD, along with the state governments and other central government agencies, have been working closely to bridge the gap which has been there between the Northeast and the rest of the country. And it's very encouraging for the industries such as ours or industry members of ours when they see this kind of a growth and an infrastructure being created. Although, yes, there has been a substantial increase in terms of critical infrastructure being developed, but there are still pockets where there are gaps. And supply chain logistics sector is one critical sector which needs further stimulus in the region. When we talk of the state Sikkim, a tiny state nested in the Himalayan range, is a powerhouse of growth and role model of organic state. The state has many first to its credit with firm belief in sustainable solution to its problem, whether it is tourism to agriculture, pharma to technology. The kind of business environment and the supportive policies which state has is really a learning experience for all other states who are trying to, come up to the level. And we are really fortunate that we get this opportunity time and again to work with the agencies in the state, whether it's in the field of policy, ease of doing business, other education and research development initiatives. If I may just share with the wonderful audience today that we had the privilege of hosting a program which was meant for micro entrepreneurs in Gangtok today morning, and we were blessed with the visit of the Agriculture Minister of Sikkim, Sri Loknath Sharma ji. And along with him, we were joined by Dr. Hegre and Mr. Sherpa. So the combined effort of all is very much needed still because we understand there are gaps. The opportunities in Sikkim and the whole of the Northeast in agriculture and horticulture field are tremendous, and it's all known to us. But when we talk of gap, it's generally in the terms of transportation cost, connectivity, perishable movement, etc. So today, the eminent panelists which we have with us are the experts who have contributed significantly in this domain. And we would really like to have their thoughts, their suggestions, what should be done in terms of intervention to come out of this situation of a gap being there. With these words, I welcome all our leaders and the subject experts on behalf of the ASSOCHAM family and the President ASSOCHAM. I give the command back to Ranjita to please take it forward, and I look forward to the panel discussion of today. Thank you, Ranjita.
Thank you, Parminder. So I would now like to call Dr. Diwakar Hegre. He is the General Manager, Officer in charge of National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, NABARD, Sikkim Regional Office, Gangtok. So let me just share a short profile of Dr. Hegre. Previously, he was a faculty member and in charge of Center for Climate Change at Bankers Institute of Rural Development, Lucknow, responsible for designing and conducting training programs on climate finance. He was developing e-learning modules on financial literacy, horticulture financing, and designing a certification course on appraisal of agricultural financing. He has joined NABARD as an officer and worked in various capacities at the head office, Mumbai, and regional offices across the country. He has also worked on district development manager at Chikmagalur, Karnataka for 5 years, responsible for the implementation of NABARD programs in the district. He was a director in board of directors of Chikmagalur Kodagu Gramin Bank for 5 years, representing NABARD. So, sir, we just welcome you on board. We would like to hear from you now.
Thank you, Ms. Ranjita, for a nice introduction. Good afternoon, all the distinguished experts on the virtual dais, Ms. Parvinderjit Kaur, the Director, East and Northeast ASSOCHAM, Mr. Anurag Singh, Managing Director, Primus Partners, and Mr. M.T. Sherpa, with whom I was there in the morning, Secretary, Department of Horticulture, Government of Sikkim, and other distinguished speakers will be participating as experts. I'm very happy that this is a third webinar. I think we are organizing in collaboration with ASSOCHAM. And in fact, today this is the second time I'm coming and on an ASSOCHAM related program. So it makes me very happy that you are touching the relevant areas, which is very much pertinent for the state of Sikkim. Sikkim, as you know, this is one of the smallest states and having mountainous kind of topography. If you see the slopes, I mean, the topography, it ranges from 270 meters to Kanchenjunga. That is the ultimate thing. But on an average, 3,962 meters. Up to that point, it is there. Why I'm saying, highlighting this point is that throws the challenge for creating any kind of logistics, basically, or transport logistics. And Sikkim state is blessed with, I should say, attractions, which is very much important for tourism sector. Agriculture, if you take into account from the economy point of view, it contributes around 10% of the GSDP, and around 10% area is under cultivation. Producing around 1.05 lakh metric ton of food grains and something like 2.25 lakh metric tons of fruits and vegetables. So this is the volume we produce every year. And if you see the prominent products here are producers, that is cardamom, large cardamom. Sikkim is the leader in the entire world, you can say. And second is ginger. We are contributing significant production of ginger, turmeric, and also there are other niche products, you can say Delhi chili, which has got GI also, geographical indicator has got it. So these are the some special product. Buckwheat is available. Similarly, Sikkim mandarin is very kind of a delicious mandarin variety. So these are the kind of the basket of produce available for the state of Sikkim. Now coming to the logistic development point of view, if you take into account the topography and the farming sizes and all, it really throws challenges. On an average, the average land holding in case of Sikkim is 0.61 hectares. So it's difficult to create any meaningful logistics in terms of storage, in terms of sorting, grading infrastructure, in terms of transportation on an individual basis. So that is ruled out. So what is the way out? Way out is the collectivization. So you have to bring the farmers together, or you have to bring in some companies or societies so that they can work in a collective way. And that can be the only way out to address the issues which is we are facing day in and day out. So what I want to highlight in my next 5-6 minutes is what we have done to address from NABARD point of view, what are the solutions you could implement so far, and what more are possible. That only I will flag it so that our eminent speakers can address on those issues. What we have done is the first and foremost thing is reviving the cooperative structure. You know, there is a system called MPCS. In other states, it's called as PACs. So you can convert these PACs or MPCS, multi-purpose cooperative societies, into in a true sense multiple service centers. So by taking up maybe grading activities, by taking up storage activities, by taking up maybe the custom hiring centers, these kind of interventions are possible by involving this cooperative structure in addition to the farmer producer organizations which we have already created. So there are 176 MPCS, and NABARD has already planned to revive and convert them into multi-service centers in the coming 1 or 2 years. Initially, we started with 40. So we are developing the capacity development of the managers. Then we are going for some sort of infrastructure creation. Then we are computerizing these MPCS in collaboration with state government and also the Cisco Bank, that is a state cooperative bank. So with this one approach, we feel that some of the logistics issues, which is the problems, the problems faced by the farmers in the remotest area, can be addressed to some extent. The other one is the FPOs. Of course, across the country, the FPO revolution is happening. Even Government of India has brought in a new central sector scheme where 10,000 FPOs are being promoted. NABARD has also promoted 12 FPOs in Sikkim. In addition to that, state government, I am sure Sherpa will be sharing it, are promoted some 56 FPOs. So in the FPO also there is a scope for developing this kind of logistic arrangements. In fact, these FPOs are provided with the mobile vans so that they can transport the fruits and vegetables and other agri produce from the farmers to market. NABARD has also promoted rural marts and rural hut. This is the we are providing this sort of a market linkage to our tribal farmers and SHGs in the remote areas so that they can sell their produce, market their produce in a more systematic way. So we have promoted 6 marts across the state and 2 rural huts. I feel this has given them, especially during COVID time, it has given them a special sort of a linkage with the market, and that has been already documented also. To address the infrastructure issues, we have got one fund called RIDF, Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. NABARD has supported more than 200 rural roads, and so that they can be made all-weather roads. And we have supported 45 market infrastructure. This is a loan given to the state government. I am sure this has helped in creating critical infrastructure for use of the rural masses. As a result, they are effectively connected with the market. Similarly, we are having the warehouse infrastructure scheme, which is a government of India scheme. Under this warehouse infrastructure, we could not do much in Sikkim because state government they have not taken the loan from this fund. But there is one new initiative which is taken up by NABARD, as it's an assignment given by Government of India, that is Jio Tagging of these warehouses. More than 1 lakh warehouses have been Jio tagged by NABARD, including 75 warehouses from Sikkim. So this gives an opportunity for the farmers, which is available on this mobile app. On their, it will be made available in their mobiles. They can find out which is the nearest warehouse available to their place, and nearest to their place, and whether it is vacant, what is the storage space available. This kind of information will be made available to the farmers. So this gives, I think, to a great extent that reduces the stress on the farmer especially during the harvest period. So they can safely store their produce. So we are also promoted some sort of 2,200 tribal families through our tribal development fund, wherein end-to-end, from production to marketing requirements of these crops, for example, mandarin or guava, kiwi, cardamom, that is addressed in this project. We have supported such 6 projects in the state of Sikkim. In all the 4 districts, we are having our projects, and this has helped 2,200 tribal families in producing as well as reaching the market. In addition to that, we are also, this is Agri Infrastructure Fund, which is created by Government of India. So this gives a vast scope as well as throwing up opportunities for the entrepreneurs in the state in setting up agri logistics, from assaying, from grading, from sorting, even from processing, and also from marketing. So this opportunity, I think we should be in NABARD is also in association with Agriculture Department, state government, then banks. We are popularizing this scheme so that more and more entrepreneurs can come forward and avail this support under AIF, where 3% interest subvention is available for 7 years up to 2 crores, and credit guarantee is available from NABARD as well as CGTMSE. So up to 2 crores, these 2 things are available. So banks can provide loans to the entrepreneurs for setting up of these kind of infrastructure without insisting for any collateral. That is very important. I think that is very great support we are we can think of. Similarly, there are some area, new models which has been tried elsewhere can be tried for Sikkim. For example, power is an issue in remote areas, so solar run refrigeration facilities or solar run mobile refrigeration facilities. These cold storages can be thought of, which we have seen in Maharashtra, I have seen in Karnataka. So, on a small scale, I think that kind of intervention is required for a state like Sikkim, because big is not very comfortable for us. We need a small, which is more from the point of view of managing the asset, as also from making it economically viable. And one more thing is the cold storage facility. I remember during my college days, my PhD thesis was on developing zero energy cool chamber using bricks, sand, and water and all. That was in 1992. So that is very effective in bringing down the temperature from, say, from 30 degree to around 18 degrees, almost 10 to 12 degree temperature you can bring down. And this is a very low cost, no running cost at all. So these kind of structures can be created at the on farm. In the farm itself, you can create it, and fruits and vegetables can be stored there. So the losses, which is they say in the piece of fruits and vegetables, up to 30% losses are there, which can be brought down to, say, maybe 10 to 12%. So these kind of interventions can be supported by all of us. These are some of the ideas which is coming to my mind, which our entrepreneurs and maybe some startups can take up that kind of activities. We are having an incubation center in Sikkim, so we are also having dialogue with them whether any kind of agri incubation startups can be thought of for the state of Sikkim. So let us see whether in the coming days whether you'll get some model which is addressing the logistic issues. So these are some of the thoughts which came to my mind, and I look forward to the eminent speakers who are going to speak now, and also in the technical session, which will definitely give us many ideas. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I thank ASSOCHAM for organizing this timely webinar and for mobilizing such good resource persons who will be really, I am sure the participants will gain immensely from this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hegre. That was a very relevant points that you shared. The multi-service centers and FPOs with mobile vans, those are really the need of that place at the moment. So now I would like to call upon Shri Anurag Singh, and he's the Managing Director, Primus Partners India. Shri Anurag Singh has 27 years of rich experience in leading and delivering business strategies. He has previously worked with companies like Ernst & Young, Sattva Wellness, the Chemours Company, DuPont, and the Hero Corporate Service. So we are very happy to have him over here today. So we would like to hear from you, sir, today. So over to you, Mr. Singh.
So thank you. Thank you for having this this conversation. See, it is very important for the development of Sikkim, and it is also very important for our overall development of the logistics to have conversations like these. See, a lot of changes have been happening in the past few years in terms of agricultural practices. There is a lot of improvement that has happened in terms of technologies available for agriculture. A lot of new technologies are now available. In terms of logistics and storage, also a lot of new a huge amount of innovation is happening and is now getting available to more and more number of people. And in general, the agricultural markets have improved a lot since the past 5 to 10 years. Developing a strong logistics, which includes how you get your produce from the farmer and then through the intermediate places, and then finally to customer, is a very, key success factor for the, agricultural commodities. Now, Sikkim holds a few definite advantages which are probably underplayed, and a few disadvantages that are probably overplayed. And hence, I truly believe that there is a strong case for Sikkim there's a far big upside available to Sikkim. Now let's look at the the advantages. The biggest advantage of Sikkim is organic, and the fact that people believe in it. It's a huge advantage, and that's where the market trend is also going. As we see the consumer market trends towards eating, more and more people are worried about what they are eating, and more households are actually paying more for getting organic feed and organic milk and organic grains and all that. And this is a huge advantage. This is a trend that kind of puts Sikkim at a good place. Another issue with organic is that there is no strong certification available. So a lot of people think that is it organic, is it not? There is always a question in their mind. But when you are developing a whole region, like let us say Sikkim is organic, you are putting in a confidence that almost everything that is coming out of Sikkim is you are reasonably sure that it really is organic, and this thing is a huge advantage. Now let's come to a few disadvantages. So the key disadvantage is the topography and geography. And this is what I am saying is relative to the markets that are there. So if you want to, let us say, sell your goods in Calcutta, the fastest you can reach on a truck is, let us say, 32-33 hours. And this is a fairly large challenge. And also your cost per kg for transporting it to these markets is high. And hence, when you are getting a price premium of your product, then these products start to become economically viable. And this is why I say that the disadvantage of Sikkim is soon going to become stronger and stronger advantage, because the total economics will start to come into favor of places like Sikkim because of this higher price of organic. Now it comes to what should we be doing in order to develop the logistics and the entire chain. And for that I have to say is that making a operating theater is one part of creating infrastructure for somebody to get a surgery. But it's the whole chain, that the doctor is there, the nurse is there, the anesthesiologist is there. When you have the entire ecosystem, only then you have a successful surgery. And hence I wanted to take you on a tangent that the economics of your produce is very important to understand to have a successful logistic plan. I have analyzed a lot of warehouses across India, and I found that not all warehouses have a similar kind of success. There are many warehouses where there is waiting and the rates are high, and there are many warehouses which are going empty, and the benefit of that investment did not happen. So what I'm coming to is that it is very important to understand the economics, and the economics of each product is different, and it needs to be understood so that we can come to a good solution. Now, let me just give you an example of what I want to say. So there's a fruit called kinu, and typically Haryana and Punjab used to produce it, and it never went outside North India 15-20 years back because it used to rot. Similarly with strawberries, it never went outside Nasik or the places where it was getting produced some time back. While today, the whole ecosystem has developed in such a way that kinu is available, in Mumbai. It is available down south, which is coming in from Punjab and Haryana, and all this has had many elements in developing. Which includes the farm practices, which includes the packaging houses practices. It includes the practices on the logistics and so on. And we need to understand this for our products. And we need to have, most of your agricultural produce is going to be sold in a competitive market. The price of these markets keep changing, and if your product is profitable to sell in these markets, that is when that is when the whole ecosystem is going to be in a virtuous cycle. So what I want to say is that we really need to break it down into each of these commodities. So let us say Sikkim mandarin, right? There are there is me sitting here in Delhi who would pay good price for Sikkim mandarin, but then I need to understand how this whole chain will work. So in this, there is one is the physical part of the of logistics. There is also very important commercial part of this. This. So commercially, if you are reducing the risk of the trader, and if you are minimizing his role, and you are connecting the farmer to the customer and reducing the middleman there, you get to a situation where these transactions start to become more and more economically viable. And we should create an infrastructure that supports this viability, and those are the kind of investments that are likely to be more successful than investments that have been done based on less knowledge, and just on that, okay, we need something here, we put a big warehouse there. It has to be far more thought through exercise for it to be successful. So what I would say is that looking at the new markets that are developing, looking at the new technologies that are developing, and looking at the agricultural profile of Sikkim, we need to do a targeted study and then come out with very, very practical solutions so that the entire chain becomes economically viable and sustainable.
Thank you so much, Anuragji. This was a really interesting insights that we had from you. And in fact, the organic state that Sikkim is, that is an example to all other states in India. And the kinu fruit that you said, that is one of the best success story for a viable ecosystem that you mentioned over here. Thank you so much for your talk today. So we would now like to release the knowledge report that we prepared on the state of Sikkim. And so it would be like, it is on the Sikkim Agro sector, challenges and solutions. So the main focus is on the tribal and backward areas. So I would call upon Parminder ji to just please release the knowledge paper with NABARD.
Thank you, Ranjita. We would like to take this honor, being guided and supported by NABARD. We are in a position to finish up a report which has been developed internally, and I take the permission of Shri M.T. Sherpa ji and Shri N. Sivasailam sir that this report be made up publicly available by ASSOCHAM to all the participants and all the other key stakeholders. We will be adding post this webinar few recommendations which will evolve out from the discussion of today. However, though we have put in some recommendation. So this is just to acknowledge and thank our partner NABARD for having given this opportunity to us to work on this kind of a report and release it. Thank you so much all. Ranjita, we would now move on to our guests, special guests today, and have their inputs and their thoughts before we open for panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Parvinder. So I would like to welcome Shri N. Sivasailam, IAS, former Secretary, Special Secretary, Logistic, Ministry of Commerce. So we would like to welcome him for the special address today. Shri Sivasailam, a mechanical engineer, an MBA and Masters in Social Policy and Planning, PGD in Intellectual Property Rights Law from all the prestigious organizations. He served as Additional Chief Secretary in the Department of Public Enterprises, Government of Karnataka. He has served in the Department of Health and Family Welfare and Medical Education, Forest Ecology and Environment Departments of Government of Karnataka as Principal Secretary. He served in Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation Limited, the Karnataka State Beverages Corporation Limited, and Rajiv Gandhi Rural Housing Corporation Limited as Managing Director. Besides serving an assignment as Secretary in the Rural Development and Panchayat Raj Development of State Government. Presently, he is Special Secretary Logistics in the Department of Commerce. So he has been a member of the National Award winning teams in Panchayat Raj Administration and e-governance applications. So we would like to hear from you, sir, with the rich experience that you bring today on board. Thank you, sir. It's over to you, sir.
I'm just unmuting. Thank you, Ranjita, for some nice introduction about me. Of course, I think my biodata with what it is today, but mixed up with what it was, say, about a year ago. And the first part of what Ranjita told is what is relevant. I'm a retired service officer, and presently I pursue my passions. And definitely the job which I had till at the end, logistics keeps me active for almost close to a year since I have retired from service, and happy to state that this industry, which is vibrant, has given a great deal to cheer. And least of all, I must say, this conference could not have been more timely. While I come to this subject, I think nothing special about my address except to say that the speakers whom I have heard before, particularly Anurag, on the business aspects of it, I entirely endorse. This is a seminar where we are addressing the way forward from the business point of view, and we also have the NABARD document on the way forward, and generally, if I'm not mistaken, NABARD documents of this nature generally are very well researched items. I can say so from my very personal experience, having worked in rural development in my career and also as the rural development secretary in the state of Karnataka 10 years ago. But once I think NABARD has, I must say, we should congratulate NABARD and also the ASSOCHAM for championing this cause, because Sikkim is, from the point of view of agri commodities and agri logistics, Sikkim is a great business opportunity, and I would strongly advise ASSOCHAM to take it as such. A small state does not mean small opportunity. Sikkim provides a much larger opportunity than several bigger states would do, because it's the mountainous terrain is, when you look at the area of the mountainous terrain, it's not the flat area, it's actually the surface area, and the surface area can beat several states in terms of the actual area which you actually have for under cultivation, and the type of products which it generates, the high value products which it generates, everybody concentrated on the organic as well. They are something which are which modern businesses would like to address. In my special submission to all of you will be only on the way forward. It's not that I don't think experts and our audience any advice from any one of us on how to go on what are all the major opportunities which are available. The problem is one of chicken and egg situation. Who is going to bell the cat? These are the two questions which one need to address. And that's where a combination of somebody like NABARD and ASSOCHAM is possibly the right mixture which you can have to take things forward. NABARD from the developmental point of view, and ASSOCHAM from the industry support point of view. And my entire way of looking at it is to create new businesses. Sikkim requires a heavy dose of entrepreneurship. That's my single my overriding suggestion. Technology available, expertise available, entrepreneurship cipher. Now it's the entrepreneurship which organization ASSOCHAM and NABARD needs to address, and that's where we need to get the business guys to put in their money. And we need to ensure that we are able to put forward an ecosystem by which it's not that to say that no risk can be taken. Obviously, business can take operational risks. There's no doubt about it. Anurag, if I'm right, raise your thumbs and say it's okay. If the key element is we need to get the entrepreneurs on the ground, and that's where the contribution of ASSOCHAM and NABARD will lie. You might, it's not that the money is not safe. In logistics, I can tell you the money is safe. The reason is money is in the logistics player always builds on the cost. So if you're able to reduce costs, you're going to increase markets. Otherwise, markets are not going to happen if logistics does not happen. You might retain the same product there, and if your logistics cost goes out of the window, you have no movement, except that it's better used as manure in the same place rather than put money and transfer it as manure elsewhere. And so that's where the fundamental aspect of it lies. I'm speaking from the point of view of logistics. I think warehousing was adhered to. I entirely, I can say that I can agree with Anurag on the macro aspect of it, but I don't agree for a change on the micro aspect of it. Now, the need for micro warehousing, mandi level warehousing is imminent. You cannot, any entrepreneur needs to have a warehouse in order to store it, because there's going to be a day or so by which the transportation will have to be organized, and some of them may require refrigerated warehouses of various kinds. I mean, I'm not trying to get, this is not a seminar on warehousing, but suffice to say that the nature of warehouse is not important as much as the concept of warehousing is there, and it is part of the entrepreneurial activity. It's not that somebody can organize a warehouse separately as a business. Once you do that, you're adding to the logistics costs. It's the entrepreneur, the first mile entrepreneur who is the person who should be organizing it, and that's where the role of associations and apex associations will arise. That's where the role of the government also will come in order to facilitate it. But while I'm putting, you must have seen, I brought the role of the government towards the end. I personally do not see government as an inhibiting factor in what we are thinking of. The question is, we need to take the initiative. What is not prohibited is allowed, and that's the way to go forward. Trying to say the government should do this, government should do this in a strictly market-based situation, as I am envisaging, and which I'm sure, with my limited knowledge, but reasonable knowledge of what Sikkim is, I think businesses, it's time for businesses to make a foray. And what should be the nature of businesses? It should be, it's not that it must make sense in terms of volumes, and that's where the size of the businesses comes. That's where multiple members can come in. It's possible. We may start off with 200 people, 200 entrepreneurs working in various areas, or rather various regions of Sikkim, and some of us may find that over a period of time it doesn't fit with our market, our business philosophy, or our business overall businesses you are in, and you might sell out. Consolidation is welcome. That's not, but consolidation does not mean that there is no business. It means that there is a good business, and that's how people consolidate and try to make it bigger. And the whole idea of consolidation is always to reduce costs and make it much more cheaper. The key element as far as what does this do is what I will say and then stop. The aim of the businesses should be to create the demand. Today, Sikkim has that problem, if I'm not mistaken. The fact that there is no pull effect available ensures that there is no generation of the supply doesn't take place, because there is hardly anybody to create that overall aggregate demand. And that's where the role of both market developers, which includes logistics players integrated as market players, is the need of the hour. I think this would be my message as far as Sikkim is concerned. I've heard the other two. I think many more to come, and I'm pretty certain that other aspects of the technicalities, the nitty-gritty of the businesses will be covered. But I do see a ray of hope in the two institutions, ASSOCHAM and NABARD, coming together, and that's where the winning combination, to my mind, will lie. Provided, I think we develop a whole lot of, we get a whole lot of entrepreneurs under the umbrella of these institutions and start promoting them. It might be possible that your margins in the first few years may not be to your expectations, but I don't think you're going to suffer a loss as long as you are getting into the market and in a sizable measure. Your whole idea is to develop markets outside, because Sikkim cannot actually consume the huge volume which it can actually produce, and several of it are lying fallow or just rotting there itself, because it makes no sense to transport. I think I share the sentiments expressed by my speakers. I hope I have given some amount of a focus in terms of what of business strategy, which I thought will be the contribution which I will suggest for the consideration of our esteemed members and the audience which we have. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir, for such valid points that was presented today. And definitely the need of the hour in Sikkim is the creating the entrepreneurs over there. So we move on to our next special guest. We would like to welcome Shri M.T. Sherpa, SCS, Secretary, Department of Horticulture, Government of Sikkim. So I am also again reading his profile. So he is the present Secretary, Horticulture, Government of Sikkim. He joined Sikkim's State Civil Service cadre in the year 1992 as welfare officer under state government, and thereafter served in various capacities such as sub-divisional magistrate, additional district collector, joint secretary, technical education, managing director of PSU Denzong Agricultural Cooperative Society, director, school education, etc. He has also served as Special Secretary, Urban Development Department and Secretary Education before joining current assignment as Secretary. Horticulture Department in November 2019. He belongs to a rural background, having done schooling in government school and completed master's degree in history from North Bengal University. So we would like to welcome Sri M.T. Sherpa to share his views on this inaugural session.
Good afternoon to all of you, and Mr. I'm not getting the name, and Srivas, who has been the eminent bureaucrats before retiring, and also Mr. Hegre and other eminent panelists and members who have shared their thoughts, and then also there are other take part in this seminar. First of all, I would like to thank and congratulate ASSOCHAM for being able to organize this kind of seminar or oblique workshop on the very relevant subject and focusing and targeting the state of Sikkim. And the title itself is very important, Sikkim Agro, Logistic Challenges and Solution, focus especially with a special focus on tribal and backward areas. And many things have already been told and quite enriching, enlightening, and also educating for me also and for everyone. And I think I don't have much to say on the subject, but a few points to make before I sign out. That is, as our this previous panelists have already told much about the state of Sikkim, the difficulties, hardships, opportunities, avenues, etc. So if you look at the overall geographical context and other issues, Sikkim has been 22nd state of the Indian Union and joined the Eastern Indian mainland only in the year 1975. In the year 1975, and before that it was a kingdom, independent kingdom. And slowly after joining the Indian mainstream, it has been pulling on and doing some substantial developmental activities, and especially in the field of organic farming, etc., for which the state is well known. But there are inbuilt and inherent difficulties also, as our previous speakers have already made mention of the thing, such as the terrains, very difficult terrains. We feel sometimes this is a geographical injustices made to us in overall situation, and then having less arable lands, usable lands for us, and also very small and fragmented land holdings. The state itself is landlocked areas. State in India, you don't have all three sides are international borders, and only southern side is the has the connectivity with the Indian mainland. And another issue is when you grow something in a small and fragmented holdings, the aggregation becomes quite difficult. And all these are the inherent and inbuilt issues with the state like Sikkim, which has a lot of climatic zones to deal with. You can't imagine one crop, one district kind of thing. All districts, 4 districts have all type of agroclimatic zones, and you can't create a cluster for production very easily. And all these are the issues, and life itself become at times tough. And my previous speaker also has been very elaborative on his address, and also before that the speaker who the head of Primus also dwelled in detail about the issues. And there are, as I said, there are chicken neck kind of situation. Logistic, when you talk about the logistic, first and foremost, we don't have proper connectivity also. Road connectivity is very difficult. The cost of transportation increases immensely. And when you export something, it becomes very costly. When you consume here, because of the cost of production, the prices are high, and you can't compete with the cheap stuff coming from outside, inorganic items. And you can't resist the temptation of consuming those cheap stuff, even when you are provided with the organic at a higher cost. And then another thing is uncertain air connectivity is another issue. And at some point of time, we feel that switching over to the organic regime by the state was not a choice, but sometimes I feel that it was a compulsion. Otherwise, you can't compete with the other part of the country as far as agriculture, horticulture, and allied sectors are concerned, as far as production of all these stuff are concerned. So, state of Sikkim, with visions, tried to make a difference by switching over to the organic regime, so that you have something to provide to the world elsewhere. And logistic facilities are very important for us. You talk about cold chain, we don't have much on this account, and you talk about the big lorries to transport the thing because of the situation, the road conditions, and the fragile landscape. All these are also very, I think all these are the constraints, very difficult to overcome. And despite that, now efforts are being made to establish micro units, cold chain at local level, at the farm gate itself, to create some kind of infrastructure where you can increase the shelf life of items you produce. And all these are there. Then further, government is also trying to give so many kind of incentives, but only giving incentives may not be sufficient in the long run to boost the production and to help the farmer. Government has now recently formulated the policy of providing production incentives on every kilo of 5 crops initially to begin with: large cardamom, ginger, mandarin, buckwheat, and turmeric. These 5 main crops of the cash crops of the state. Government has formulated a policy to give per kilo incentive if you sell through the FPOs or cooperative societies. On the one hand, to give some incentives as encouragement to the farmer. On the other hand, to build the FPOs also, or cooperative societies also, to make them more viable, and also to ensure that they become not only the aggregating center, but also they become capable enough to start with the processing units, etc. And their business is increased, so that we could sell the product not only at domestic market, but also take it down to the other parts of the country, other metropolitan cities, even at international level. But the issue is, number one, aggregation is the problem. Number two, the volume is another problem. And then time taken during transportation is another issue. By the time the item reaches down below to bigger places where markets are immense, items are sometimes rotten or it's lost in the transit. Lost in the transit means quality wise and for various reasons. Shelf life is gone and other things. So even government has taken this kind of initiatives to give the incentives in case of crops as well as in milk also. But at the same time, the result is the increase in the production. But at the same time, the problem will be when you increase the production, then what is the next? You need to cater the market. You should not go down to nearest regulated market in West Bengal and get diluted with other inorganic produces which are produced by using chemical fertilizers and other chemical kind of nutrients, and you lose all the premium which you are supposed to get. There are now schemes under Government of India also. Horticulture Mission is there, MOBCT is there, National Bamboo Mission is there, and there are so many various kind of Government of India schemes and coupled with the state government schemes. But and at the same time, efforts are being made to improve the logistics. However, we find that these are not sufficient at this juncture. Some or my previous speaker had already told about the development of entrepreneurship also. That has to come. Now, we should not be left as only the producer of the raw material, cheap raw materials kind of thing, in the name of organic or something. Processing has to come, because you can't carry far distant area. Locally, if it is processed, then it becomes easier for us to sell outside also, because shelf life has increased, or it's in a value added form. So sometimes we fear that we may land up becoming only the producer of the raw material and importing the finished product. That kind of issues are there. Then government has also to boost the production and also to develop the entrepreneurship level. Government took the initiative, collaborated with the local banks. They were impressed upon to go to all districts. Even Honorable Minister went to the ground level. Even Chief Minister chaired some of the meetings at the ground level. And they were brought at one platform, and Krishi loan melas were organized. Soft loans, and banks were asked to come forward with the credits. And many banks, they came forward with, sometimes with reluctance also, sometimes with hesitation also, because they were not, the farmers are the last person bank prefers to give any kind of credits. Generally, the feelings are like that. They go for any kind of scooter you buy, your car you buy, and you build the house, they're ready to give finance. But when you talk financing to a farmer, they don't trust. Trust level deficit is also there. But government prevailed upon them, and banks have in the state of Sikkim done wonderful work recently on this account. And there are not much issues to be discussed from my side, but organic brands is the identity of the state of Sikkim, and with proper logistic coming up or establishment of proper logistic value chain, and also all kind of marketing linkages, backward forward linkages. I hope that perhaps in the long run, the state will be able to capitalize from its brand. So with this, I would like to conclude, and also once again thank the ASSOCHAM for organizing this kind of very enriching and good seminar. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shri Sherpa ji. That was really very important points that you have raised. And it is indeed that Sikkim would really come up with all the solutions to the challenges, but in the long term, it would take some time out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you for your valuable time to us, sir. So we would now like to move forward for the session. So it's a panel discussion on the agri-sector logistics system, the challenges of Connect. So we would have a discussion with our eminent speakers who are there in this panel. So Mr. Prashant Jalan, Managing Director, Bengal Nestor Industries Limited, Mr. Omlan Basu, Managing Director, ABS Group, Mr. Manu Chaudhary, Managing Director, Prakriti Organic Farm Fresh Limited, Mr. Jaideep Raha, President, Northeast SCLA, Mr. Shantanam Raghavan, former Country Head, Supply Chain Management, Standard Chartered Bank. So we would be discussing on the sector logistic requirements, the dynamics of supply chain logistics, connecting rail, air, road, technological interventions, connecting the logistic dots for forward and backward integration. And we are sure that we are going to come up with some very important and valid points that we can just take together and take it forward for further development of this part of the northeastern region. So I would like to call upon Mr. Prashant Jalan. Mr. Prashant Jalan is the founder, chairman, and managing director of Bengal Nestor Industries Limited, a joint venture company with the government of West Bengal. So he has a very very strong personality, we can say. He's the founder of BNIL, the owner of golf team, mentor to the startup, and Mr. Jalan's inclusive leadership allows him to straddle various roles with the equal elan. So with lots of experience on his back, we would like to hear from him on this sector. So welcome on board, Mr. Prashant Jalan.
Thank you, Ms. Ghosh. This is very kind of you to introduce me. First of all, I would like to congratulate all these stakeholders, including Mr. Sherpa ji, to be able to make Sikkim into an organic state. I think the first state in the country to get this certification. We all, it's like a case study for all of us to have the entire state as a organic state. So because of the I had planned to visit Sikkim, but unfortunately because of the lockdown and all of that, I could not. But since I know now that Mr. Sherpa has also been a part of this entire thing, I would definitely through ASSOCHAM I would like to possibly take his time and go and visit and see as to how they have done it. And as a business person, I'm definitely looking forward to an opportunity to maybe do something there. Well, Mr. Sherpa also knows what he's done, and most of the things which I was about to say, I think the government of Sikkim was already knowing as to what it needs to be done. Because right from, so if we talk about the dairy sector itself, there is a urgent need for cold chain right at the farmer level itself. And there are now solutions available within the country wherein you can have refrigerated cans and milking systems so that the bacterial count of milk doesn't spoil, and the farmer gets better prices for his milk, and his milk can be transported to the central dairy where it can be processed into various milk and milk products. And being organic, the value addition would be much, much more, which means that it could be also transported to northeast, east, and even north of the country, where organic definitely sells at a great premium. For example, if someone were to certify organic milk in Delhi, they would definitely command a premium. And coming from Sikkim, that would be having a lot of, in the mind of the customer, it will have some amount of comfort that yes, Sikkim is an organic state, and so whatever I'm buying is a genuine certified organic produce. So the same thing for other agri products, like Mr. Sherpa was mentioning, the cardamoms and the buckwheat and so on and so forth. So I think the government, it's like a catch-22 situation, but I feel that once you create the infrastructure, only then you can unlock the value of the infrastructure. So I think the government would need to spend and also invite private people to jointly spend with them in creation of this back-end infrastructure, which would encourage good quality sourcing of raw material, which can be further processed within Sikkim itself. And so when you process that raw material in Sikkim itself, then the value addition happens at the Sikkim state level itself. And then with the versatile packaging and the long shelf life packaging available now in the country itself, there is no dearth of market. India is one of the biggest emerging markets for premium products as well. Every Indian now is looking for a better quality of life, which includes better food for him and his family. So I think Sikkim could take an advantage in terms of being the prime mover and the first mover in delivering Sikkim certified organic produce to the rest of the country. I would look forward to getting more views from others, and for sure I would like to visit Sikkim soon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jalan. That's very true that we need to have a versatile packaging, and so there are many steps to it. So like Mr. Sherpa ji also said that it's about transportation, it's about cold chain, it's about the direct marketing that needs to be checked. So it's a long chain that needs to be strengthened all the while. So we would like to take the views of other panelists over here and come back to you with the questions. So, thank you so much for your inputs. So we just move on to our next speaker, Mr. Omlan Bashu, Managing Director, AVS Group. So he is the director at AVS Group, a group that loves to innovate and dedicate to execute. AVS Group is involved in the customized clearance and transportation in various forms like containerized cargo or break bulk, project cargo, handling and operation of feeder vessels and containers related custom procedure. So we would like to hear about this, some ideas and more about the logistic part from you. So over to you, Mr. Basu.
Thank you, Mrs. Ranjita Ghosh. Thank you so much. Well, we have been talking about, first of all, my sincere thanks to Mr. Sivasalam as well as Mr. M.T. Sherpa and all our other eminent panelist speakers. Well, we have been involved with ASSOCHAM for a very long time, and we have been participating in many of the Northeastern, I would say, conclave seminars. It's a new platform called webinar, which has been started post-COVID, post-pandemic. Now, going back to just around about a year back, when we had our last third edition of the Northeast Development through Emerging Northeast 2020 in Guwahati, where I was also involved as a very, in a very difficult sort of a session where we had discussed about the Sikkim Agro issues, and we have highlighted certain points. Thereafter, Government of India has, of course, taken it. Well, looking back around about 7-8 years back, when we were talking about the Look East policy, which has been later converted into Act East policies. And I mentioned something that point of time also, which I would like to repeat in a little different way, that we live in a country called India, which is our motherland. And if I have to build a home, then we have to maintain, I would say, some sort of a rules and regulations called Vastu. And as per Vastu, the wealth corner of your house is the Northeast. So if we consider that we are in a country called, India, which is our motherland, so Northeast is our wealth corner. So we need to keep a little more attention towards Northeast. Northeastern region of India is blessed with the bounty of the nature. The region is unique in many respects, we all know, while abundances of natural resources signifies the potential. Now, while the Government of India has taken a lot of initiatives, especially they're committed to create the opportunities for youth and provide the social and industrial infrastructural development. So overall, rapid development of growth so far has been observed by the entire nation, that's for sure. But since the Northeastern region is largely rural and horticultural production that dominates the agri landscape, so any development planning has to be largely focused on the farm and the rural sectors rationalizations. So therefore, there is a need of partnership for training, for competence building, investments in the marketing, processing projects, infrastructural development, and also accelerate the growth and economic activities in the territory. So when we talk about organic farming, we talk about demand of the organic, especially post-pandemic, when we all have become extremely health conscious. So we also talk about Sikkim. Mr. Sherpa has very pertinently mentioned a lot of points. And yes, we have discussed a number of times as far as the purity of the foods and the agricultural products are concerned, especially which is available mostly in Sikkim, in Mizoram, also in Tripura, Nagaland, and the entire Northeast region. So what I have done, I haven't done much of a homework as far as this segment is concerned, because we only need to concentrate on the logistics front. We have already identified Siliguri as the, I would say, for the cold chain, supply chain mechanism through the Siliguri, to create it as a hub, and also create an MMLP, which is called Multimodal Logistics Park, which will help us to have a little, I would say, a different sort of a multimodal system, which will help you to receive the best transport link for rail, road, as well as waterways. We also have the customs. We also need to have the customs clearing facility and the 24/7 services, along with the one window services and the enhanced security system, which is very important for any agro or perishable cargo. Also, the value-added services which we need to concentrate as far as any Northeast, because we need to understand that they are not a big players. So when we will be thinking about exporting, or maybe we will be thinking about supplying such agri products, we should be mainly focusing on the SME and the MSME industry, and not the big giants who all will be interested, until and unless the packaging industry will come into the infrastructure. So presently what we have identified, if we leave aside Assam, Meghalaya for the time being, or maybe Tripura, Mizoram and Nagaland, which is predominantly a supply zone for the agri products. Even if we talk about only Sikkim, and if we talk about Gangtok as an example, then what do we have? We have ginger, we have turmeric, we have large cardamom. So this is also, this itself, without any other Northeast region, that itself can create some sort of a market alone with Middle East via Calcutta port, where Siliguri will be a hub. We can create Bangladesh market for, especially for large cardamom. We ourselves do a lot of trading for that through another UAE company. But however, that is possible by road through Changrabanda and Burimari. And then we can also, of course, talk about Bhutan. We can send it once again by a road model by Daranga. We can send it to Nepal using Siliguri corridor. We all know that the gateway will be Panitanki. And when we talk about any other Asian via Calcutta port, then Calcutta will be the gateway port, and the domestic movement by Siliguri using Siliguri hub as the logistics hub. So now the question remains that what we need to have. We need to have a rational multimodal logistics system which will connect Siliguri and Calcutta, or for that extent even Calcutta, I'm talking about only for an export gateway port, which could be used as a transshipment or a transit cargo port as well. But we can also think about the railway haulage linkage through the MMLP, that is multimodal logistics park, either in Siliguri or maybe in Calcutta as per the demand. But there could be also one more point which I would like to highlight, that is the porter cabin facility through a cold storage without investing much onto your cold storage, cold chain mechanism system. Means the porter cabin will be a single unit of a reefer, refrigerated container simply, because the cargo which will be coming from those areas may not be bulk in volume. So if we identify some cold storages instead of a full, because the investment also we need to think about. If the investment, we do not want to put it as a huge investment for the entire cold storage, we can use these small 20-40 foot containers, which itself will give some MSME and SME people, I would say, source of sustain for the cargo to be stored in a 40-footer under, once again, a PPP sort of a model with some local operators who all have already agreed to operate by from Siliguri as a logistics hub. So these are the areas where we need to emphasize. These are the areas where we need to think about and ponder upon that how we can do some sort of VAS, that is value added services, for especially for the Northeast, wherein we need to do a lot of brainstorming as far as these small scale industries to be developed, and may not be, if we can shift our focus from the gigantic businesses to the small level business, and then also make some room for the consolidators to be coming in and then make some small shipments into consolidations format. And there could be a lot of other areas which I do not want to use, but yes, using Dauki and especially Sabrum that could, because Abrum is going to be the next ICP, the integrated check post. So those initiatives from Government of India will certainly move forward for the entire Northeast, and I'm sure at least the SMA and the MSME industry of the entire Northeast will be looking at a role model from Sikkim itself. All the best to us, ASSOCHAM. I'm agreeing at least to once again get involved with ASSOCHAM as we have been doing for the last 5-6 years. And I'm really honored to be associated. And let's hope for the best. And let's think about emerging Northeast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Basu. That was a very true point that you have said, that first of all, the training and capacity building is the most important thing that needs to be taken care of at the moment. Then you also spoke about the rational multimodal logistic systems over there. So, but the thing is that when we are talking about the tribal and the backward areas, so these people have got a lot of resources. So be it when we are talking about the organic farming, we are talking about the agriculture. These people are mostly dependent on the agriculture sector over there, but they really don't know how to take it forward. So that is the area that where the logistic actually plays a very important role over there. So we'll just talk more about it. So we just move on to Shri Manu Chaudhary. Thank you so much, sir, for your inputs, and we would like you to be there for the discussions further. So we would welcome Shri Manu Chaudhary. He's the Managing Director, Prakriti Organic Farm Fresh Private Limited. Mr. Chaudhary is an entrepreneur for not one, but for many sectors. So from a logistician to organic farming, he has done it all. He conceptualized a viable business idea on organic farming and to work with small and marginal farmers for their sustainable livelihood. So this is there. We would like to hear more about how to how the farmers can benefit, how these tribal people can benefit from from the organic farming and further. So over to Mr. Chaudhary.
Thank you, Ranjita, to give a small introduction of mine. I am very thankful to ASSOCHAM, and it's good to hear Amlan Basu. He is one of my colleagues actually, and I had heard Mr. Sherpa who was saying about this horticulture part from the department, and the overall brief of Siva Salam sir is really giving me outskirt idea. Let me tell you, just wanted to what motivated me to come into this organic farming right from a logistics sector. I started my career early in 20s. When I was at the age of 20, I started the logistic field as a custom clearing agent. Then I became trailer service provider, then freight forwarder, and then in the year 2015, I diverted myself into organic farming. And today, I have in my bucket around 1 lakh organic farmer, small farmer who is associated with my organization and getting benefited with the agronomic practice which we are giving it to them on the backward integration part. And coming to the forward integration part, we are the Prakriti Organic is basically exporting agro commodity into Middle East and Korean countries. And we have a chain of restaurant and cafeteria in Delhi. Particularly, we are working in running chain of cafeteria in ministries. So in this way, I am also involved in with the policy makers, particularly with the aspect of Sikkim, where we are talking about. Sikkim, yes, it is a landlocked country, rightly said. The gateway is West Bengal, and other two sides is China and Bhutan and Nepal. That is the opportunity also, and that is the weakness also. So Sikkim 3 product I especially feel has a strong market which can be marketed properly. First is floriculture. Again, floriculture, there are different type of flowers which are grown in Sikkim, which is yet to be marketed into the international level or the metropolitan domestically. Second is exotic vegetables, and third is spices, particularly big cardamom and turmeric. Turmeric has a huge demand now from Korea. Day before yesterday, I had a meeting with Korean embassy, and they are asking for spices from Sikkim. So there is a market for all these products. Now coming to the solution part, I don't want to elaborate so much, and I don't want to take too much time because there are big speakers who have spoken, and whatever little knowledge I have gathered in the span of 6-7 years, that is what I just wanted to say, that the same thing which I spoke into Northeast, that seminar in Guwahati which has held. So I got opportunity to be part of that. I particularly think that there should be a farmer community service center, FCSC concept at the farm level itself. If at the farm we have a processing unit which can actually add the valuation of the product, the value addition is very important. Suppose turmeric is there, and if turmeric oil can taken out at the farm level itself, then it can be easily transported to other part of the country. In the same way, if there is any floriculture product, and if we have a value addition processing machine, and from that flower, if we can take out the fragrance or the oil, it can be easily marketed, and it don't have a perishable life also. So these are the value addition processing unit which is required at the farm level, and that can be done through Farmer Community Service Center. Shortly, Government of India is coming with the FPO program, where my organization is also selected as a CBBO to make FPO. So NABARD and NCDC, they are coming with the FPO program, particularly in the Northeast. In the FPO program, if this FCSC center can be inculcated related to the food processing unit, then it will be a major boost to the state like Sikkim, which is actually presently major buyer of the product, but they are not supplier. Only because, why they are not supplier? Because of the infrastructure problem, which is facing problem to Sikkim and all. But they have a basic lot of strong inputs they have, that is floriculture, exotic and spices, which if it can have a good infrastructure, particularly related to the processing unit, then it can be marketed in a better manner. So what is my major thrust on the entire session? I can understand if in a
Sir, you are not audible. Manu sir,
hello,
you are not audible, sir.
Is it okay now? I have stopped my video because of the internet problem, then so that my voice can go properly. Hello, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, now you are audible, sir. Please continue, sir.
Yeah. So I was talking about FCSC, Farmer Community Service Center. If it can be backed up with the proper processing unit setup, which can give the value addition to the exotic vegetables or the spices or the floriculture which is grown in a Sikkim, then it can be marketed in a proper manner. Presently, Sikkim state is more as a buyer, less as a supplier. Only because of this infrastructure problem, if the government can give a major thrust to that part. And one more new initiative which Government of India has started, that is Raman border which has started.
Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir.
Hello?
Manu sir, we are not able to hear you.
Is it okay now? Hello? Hello?
No, sir.
I think there is a... Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Manish, we can hear.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay now, Manish?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, starting of this Raman border is another big opportunity for the Sikkim state, which has started, I think, on the 1st of March, where foreign tourists has started going from India to other side. So shortly we are looking way ahead that the cargo can also go. So that is where I just want to end and conclude my entire submission, that there should be a value addition processing unit at the farm level, which is going to give a major thrust to the Sikkim state. Thank you, Ranjita.
Yeah, Mr. Chaudhary, we would also like to know a bit more about, since you work on the ground level with the farmers. So how do you think that this whole chain of this logistic transportation, the cold chain and everything, that can be more reachable to these people, or they can be more benefited out of all this?
See, Ranjita, for logistic, we require a quantity. Any logistic service provider, they require a quantity. And quantity can only be generated till there is a production. Now, this production, first of all, Sikkim is a landlocked. suppose we are trying to transport turmeric. Now, turmeric need a value addition. So we need a proper infrastructure for value addition. I'm only giving major thrust on a value addition part. Other part has been covered by other speakers. Suppose in Siliguri, Amlan was saying that in Siliguri can work as a hub for Sikkim. And Sikkim is a spoke. In the spoke part, there is a farmer community service center, FCSC, which can be set up, which has proper processing unit and which can give a proper load capacity to the truck or a trailer or a small vehicle which is entering into the Sikkim. And that cargo can come to hub of Siliguri. From there, it can be transported to other part of the country. That is what major thrust is. So gateway of farm is basically FCSC. That is the solution which I wanted to give from this forum.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chaudhary. That was really very helpful, learning all the things that you have put forward. So we would like to hear more about it. So let's move forward to our next speaker, Jaideep Raha, President Northeast SCLA. So he's an ex-co-chairman of CII Logistic and Supply Chain Management Eastern India, ex-member managing committee and regional chairman of Air Cargo Agents Association of India. He is an ex-regional convener for Association for Multimodal Transport Operators of India and ex-founder regional chairman of Express Industry Council of India Eastern Chapter. Managing Director of JetX Ocean Air Private Limited, Managing Director of JetTrans Logistic Private Limited, former founder, Joint Managing Director of JetX Parcel Systems Private Limited. His background, he's from St. Xavier's, so done his MBA and a very rich experience on the logistic and transport sector. So we would like to hear from you, Mr. Raha.
My panelists, my distinguished panelists, and ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed, and I'm very thankful for ASSOCHAM and NABARD to invite me to be one of the panelists in this discussion. And it is indeed a very important topic and a very pertinent topic in today's context. I would first to take a cue from, because I will stick exactly to what is the subject of this today's discussion and today's topic, is how we develop the logistics and how we develop the rural areas and help the farmers in the rural areas, reaching out their produce to the actual market, and how does a logistic provider, what kind of a role does a logistic provider plays. But here also I like to touch upon that NABARD plays the most important role here, because NABARD is basically, I would consider, if the logistics is the left arm, NABARD is the right arm of the whole development of this area for the rural part of it, because we are very, we are by default the Northeast. I will go exactly by Northeast. By default, Northeast has been a organic state, and of course, it goes without saying that Sikkim is a certified 100% organic state and only one in India as we speak. But I would consider entire Northeast as one of the very potential area for organic produce and market them not only in India but also abroad. Geographically speaking, Sikkim is having 3 sides connected with having a bordering with the neighboring countries like Bhutan, Nepal, and China, which acts as a very good geographical, logistically well-placed area. Apart from the other northeastern states, which are also, if I just take a divider and just put northeast as the center of a circle, and if you see if you turn around the whole thing into 360 degree, you will see that the entire ASEAN countries within a radius of 2,500 kilometers, which is something like less than reaching out to Mumbai or to Bangalore or to Gujarat or even to perhaps Delhi or maybe just about Delhi will be possibly very close to within 2,500 kilometers of flying time, range. What I'm talking about. This is something which is a very geographical advantageous position. And like Mr. Sivasalam said, I would like to take a cue from Mr. Sivasalam that NABARD should come forward and NABARD should help the local farmers to create, and the government of Sikkim should create basically a cluster of cooperatives within the farmers thing, because these are, as Mr. Sherpa rightly said, there are geographical challenges in terms of the rough terrains and the roads and the various fragmented areas which are at times out of bound for a normal logistics to operate. I will not touch down upon that the logistic infrastructure development is definitely needed, but I will not touch down upon that. I will just go on to the how we can develop. The NABARD needs to be more friendly to the forming, give a financial support and initial seed money kind of a support to the farmers. And organizations like chambers like ASSOCHAM also plays a very great role in connecting the rest of the country with these people of these cooperatives who will form a small cooperative connected with the government like APIDA or with the Sikkim state agricultural product associations and so on and so forth, and sell their produce. And this needs to be marketed well by the government of Sikkim or the respective government of the various states jointly and supported by the center. Now, if you are producing, I know that they are producing a very high quality material, but as rightly one of the speakers said, that the packaging of that is very important, and it is one of the most important factor of selling the product, because your package has to be very attractive enough to look attractive to a prospective buyer for him to buy. The price comes next. First, he has to have a pale darsandari, piche gun bichari, like we always say. So it is very important now. So the packaging and a perfect packaging, what is actually required for these fruits and vegetable products which are organic in nature. And it is needless to say that the organic produce in overseas fetches almost 10 times more than the conventional produce that we make in India. So it has got a lot of profitability, accountability into it. So one can really make a good, profit out of this produce, and it has got a high demand at the same time. So pricing should not be a much of a factor, because there is a high demand. What we are lacking is a coordination and a total ecosystem of logistics and a marketing development and a financial development. See, the finance, when I comes, is the banks. They should work as a kind of a support system. Then the marketing, which should be done by organizations like ASSOCHAM and the government. The government has various departments which are into the marketing. We have to take a cue from particularly from Holland, that they have in the Schiphol airport a huge place around about several lakhs of square kilometer covered, which basically a global auction center for flowers. Now the flowers from Africa comes there, flowers from China, flowers from India, flowers from all over the world goes there, and it gets auctioned out of that place. So that is a central point. If somebody in anywhere, be it in Africa, be it in Europe, be it in US, be it in Canada or Australia, are in the business of flowers and they want to resource a flower, they know exactly where to look for and to go for. So one has to create the government of, the Sikkim government, the other northeastern government, including the West Bengal government and the center, should create a market. A market has to be created. Once the market is created, then comes your financial support, which an NABARD should play a very active role in it. Yes, because if the marketing is done well, your product is bound to sell. So NABARD can be assured of each and every penny will be paid back to them. And then they'll only know, because if I take money as a working capital, or as a infrastructure capital, or as a capex money which is given to me, but if I'm not been able to sell my wares, I don't think I will be able to pay back the bank, and so automatically my account will become an NPA. So similarly, I must have very strong marketing area where I should be comfortable and I should be confident that yes, if I take this money, I should be in a position to pay back, and that's very important. In order to do that, once the confidence comes in, when I know that I have a market, I have a logistic systems in place, and this logistic will reach out in time and at a bare minimum cost to the ultimate buyer. So I will not get somewhere bogged down with how do I reach it out. Now I've got the order, but I don't know how to ship it out. There is a shipping challenges. So this needs to be addressed, and associations, various associations are there, like MTOI, like AKAI, and others also, SCLA. SCLA is very proactively working on the Northeast and all over India to reach out to the government. And Mr. Sivasailam happens to be one of the mentor of the SCLA. And with his, warehouse of experience and his knowledge, one should capitalize him. I would use one very crude word, that one should exploit his knowledge, his experience, his rich experience. I mean, I have no qualms in saying that why we are not exploiting his knowledge. We must exploit his knowledge, and the government should exploit his knowledge and his experience, that how this can be achieved. The banks, the logistics, and the marketing that the government has got to do, create a total ecosystem, forms a total ecosystem where the farmers, they need certain training. What are the training? They have the native way of producing the items. But if they are being trained that this is how the product is required in Europe, this is how the product is required to be there in other parts of the Asia or Middle East, and to reach it out, it takes so and so, because possibly they do not know that how long does it take a cargo to move from Sikkim or to any from the Northeast to reach it out to Dubai, or to say, for example, for Frankfurt or UK. So they need to be educated on that. Once they know, they themselves will find a solution to it, because they have their inner solution to them. You have to cultivate that solution with them, and they themselves will give a solution to it. It is not that they do not know, they know it, but they do not know how to express it. So there has to be a regular, what I mean is the classroom of workings, and there has to be basically workshops conducted by various institutes. Like you have Indian Institute of Packaging to tell them that look, this is the kind of packaging we can provide with. There are logistics associations who can say, okay, this is how we can move your cargo. A cold chain is very important. The government gives 50% grants. I'm saying not loans or anything. It's a grant, 50% grant on the project. So any entrepreneurs has to can utilize that, subject to he has got a project report submitted. Now we need to make these producers, these farmers, now they know that we are the farmers. We only know that in the morning we go out in the open field, plant the saplings, then it grows, and we water the plants every day, and then it bears the fruit, and then we give it to somebody to sell it. But we must create a ecosystem of them becoming an entrepreneur. They should think like an entrepreneur, they should work like an entrepreneur, and they should act like an entrepreneur. So it is very important. The culture of entrepreneurs needs to be developed. And one of the speakers said that we should not have the biggies like the Metro Cash and Carry or the Reliance or the the big guys. But I differ on it with due respect to him. But at the initial stage, we need a strong hand-holding for these farmers, so that they get a sense of security that there is a 100% buyback, and this 100% buyback will ensure a 100% payback to the banks, that is NABARD. So that is how I link it. So with that, I would like to conclude. And once again, thank you very much. If anybody has got any questions, you may please, I shall be too happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. You actually various point the most needed for this sector at the moment. So you spoke about the finance, that is like banking finance, logistic, marketing, all these have to work hand in hand together. And then also you spoke about like the farmers who need to be educated. That is the most important thing, because they actually from the base level, they really don't know how to just take forward the produce. So I would now thank you so much for your insights. I would now like to call upon Mr. Santanam Raghavan, former country head supply chain management, Standard Chartered Bank. So Mr. Raghavan is a supply chain strategist, business operations and procurement consulting professional with 25 plus years of experience in multiple industries across US, Europe and Asia Pacific. He currently leads a 14 billion GBP source to pay program that includes implementation of AI tools like RAVN, Suplari, featured in primary US industry publication for role as an instrumental change agent. Invited to panels and committees, effectively trained students, consultants, and industry professionals. Winner of Transformational Leader in the Banking Industry at Asian Thought Leadership Summit for achievement in digitizing sourcing and third-party risk management. So yes, this actually I was waiting for this. We would like to hear on this part from you, Mr. Raghavan. Thank you so much.
Sure, Ranjita. First of all, being in a panel of such luminaries and with bureaucrats of the stature of Mr. Sirasailam, who has been a champion for technology and its use in logistics and other places, needless to say that, when it comes to technology, people start telling whether it is appropriate for agriculture. When we talk of technology, are we not, talking about investments and things like that? All I would like to remind you is when we talk of supply chain, one is the supply side and one is the demand side. Yeah, there are some fundamental shifts that are happening with customers, not just in urban India, in rural India, and every place in India right now, there is a digital revolution happening. Whether we like it or not, COVID has proven that the single most, I would say, in addition to, people, labor, capital, technology has proved to be a great leveler. Think about it. How many schools in India prior to COVID were using the digital technology? How many post-COVID? All teachers and students of class 2 and 3 right now are using the digital technology. Customers are getting very comfortable in ordering things through technology. So all that I would say is there is a clear, indication. If you take a look at the top 10 companies in the world, whether in the New York Stock Exchange, whether in any of the stock exchanges, they are all platform companies, right? And whether, you think it is a tool for your advantage or disadvantage, all I would say is even so-called religious leaders, right, who never liked technology and always used to complain how it disturbs the peace of mind, you can today see in India that all the religious gurus are using the technology medium to their advantage. So there is no reason why the agriculture industry or the agriculture supply chain, needless to say, whether it is harvesting, whether it is all the parts of the supply chain, whether it is the logistics, would go. So, and then the other thing is technology has become very cheap. And moving on to the thing about Sikkim, and I know I totally agree, not that I'm trying to flatter him, but I totally agree with what Mr. Sirasailam said, that it is not a question of one solution fits all, right? For a large scale industry, a large warehouse is needed. In a place like Sikkim, you have to look at how from the farm gate you provide the access to the market. So, solutions like involving the local farmer himself and providing him enough what shall I say, corporate know-how or marketing know-how to come up with solutions like flexible hermetic solutions where they can store within their own farming community. Now, when it comes also to development of market, I know a lot of people spoke about the challenges of Sikkim, but I would say that is where lies the advantage. I mean, the fact that Sikkim was a pioneer in organic thing, there is no reason to doubt themselves again. Look, sometimes when you're a pioneer, that probably was not the right time or there was not a market. But with the rise in global of conscious living, conscious capitalism, there is a big market. So it is a question of how do you exploit that market? For instance, turmeric and ginger, right? Turmeric and ginger flavored water is a big seller in the West. So if Sikkim needs to find solutions to what it is capable of producing and how to add value. Now the question of how do you get the market? Clearly technology has a role to play in bridging that gap and getting to that marketplace. Of course, there is no doubt people spoke about entrepreneurship, and I have no doubt in my mind that with the wealth of agricultural universities that we have, we need to look at how can we incorporate digital technological input to these agricultural students, and how do we get the agricultural students of different universities, and how do we get the corporates who have the corporate social responsibility to work with the farmer and provide him enough support in terms of marketing to be able to create a brand. If Amul can create a brand, if apricots or pears from California can create a brand, I don't see any reason why something from Sikkim cannot be done. It now is the time for India, while we are very clear on Atmanirbhar, there is need for India also to look globally. Technology provides that platform, provided you have. It's a question of attracting entrepreneurs through efficient marketing and being able to capitalize on it. I think I'll stop here because I know all the luminaries have shared quite a lot of input, and I would just stop here and open it up for questions as and when you have it.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Yes, that's very important to have a technology part of it, and it has to be like a strengthened part of the chain. So I would also since Shivasailam sir is here, so I would like him to just add a few more points over here, if he can just express, like, with all the discussions that had happened today. So sir, if you can just add further.
I heard with great attention. I think in this seminar, people actually didn't repeat much, and everybody added new things which could take things forward. But there is a overriding agenda which I think everybody was trying to hint at, that we need to get the business ecosystem right. Now, what comes first is it's always a chicken and egg situation, And one of our younger colleagues, I think it was Jalan, if I'm not mistaken, who mentioned, younger startup colleagues who mentioned that I would like to have the following things before I can start. Now, that's where I think the problem actually starts, because if you're going to expect somebody else to make a start, you are never going to be in the business, at least the first prime mover in the business. The idea is to get a group. I know that you may not have, for example, Raghavanji spoke about technology. It's possible that some of us who would like to be part of the business ecosystem may not be part of the tech business ecosystem. Now, that's where the role of somebody like an overriding industry channel or somebody like NABARD team working on Sikkim is important, to get a whole lot of people on a disaggregated basis to work on the business ecosystem, which may consist of a myriad number of elements, which one person, like a young startup entrepreneur whom we had on our program, I mean, obviously cannot create the whole business ecosystem. He can take a good chunk of his area of expertise, but he cannot create some others, and therefore he will feel short-shifted that I'm not getting the opportunity. And that's where the role of partnerships in all these interactions counts. No business is a single business entity. It involves multiple expertise, as brought out extremely in focus by Raghavan. The problem of getting the business ecosystem was touched elaborately by Jaideep, with whom I work very closely in other forums as well. But that's what is the problem which we ourselves are getting. How do we get a group of, let us say, 200 entrepreneurs? Some may be logistics, some may be tech, some may be actually going to the market and working with the farmers. They're all important, and one cannot do without the other. And the thing is the role of an institutional mechanism is to put this in place. Now, we all are, because we are brought up in a system where we are used to getting ready-made alternatives. Since we don't want to create it, we say government should create cooperatives. That's a be-all and end-all of everything. And then we say, no, you have to create cooperatives of everything, when we ourselves are not in a position to create those cooperatives. Nothing prevents private cooperatives from coming up. I mean, it's not necessary that everything should be done under the Societies Registration Act or the Sikkim Societies Registration Act, or whatever you might be. You can have a cooperative framework, you can have a cooperative association, even without a cooperative legal framework. I mean, I'm basically echoing the principle of business associations getting together to organize this ecosystem. And that is where if I wanted a tech partner, well, I would like to have Raghavan, and Raghavan can tell me what we can do about it. Like Jaideep spoke about auctions. Sikkim is an ideal place for auctions because you have high value products, you can move them, and that's where just like you have some of the best auction centers incidentally are in Tamil Nadu. Most of the spices are all auctioned in Bodhi Nayakanur or Kumili or whatever it is. Kumili is on the other side of the Nilgiris. Bodhi is on one side of the Nilgiris. So you have those ecosystems available, and Sikkim is the best place to start off because it has got high value products. They talked about flowers, and I would just like to make one small thing. Sikkim is a repository of orchids. The whole region, including the northeast, is a repository of orchids. And orchids, the cost of one twig of an orchid is almost a 10 days worth of flowers which we use. It's such a valuable thing because it lasts longer. And orchids are something which, although we meant flowers, but I do mean, having known Jaideep, I think he also included orchids in that setup. Long and short of it, I want this forum, all of them very, very eminent in your own right, to just form a cooperative ourselves. If the people participating in this forum itself were to form a cooperative framework, I think our job is done. And we are in Sikkim to organize the business. And as they say, every business, I mean, the person who is in the business of getting the warehouse, if you want to ask him to organize a warehouse as a business, then he must know who is going to be his market. I mean, he can't just set it up and then come over. So going as a group, even as a business unit group, not necessarily in a cooperative legal framework, is the way forward. And that's where if a new system of cooperatization, if I can say, has to be taken forward, the industry associations, somebody like NABARD, I mean, very grateful, as was rightly pointed out by Jaideep. I think NABARD is a blessing in disguise. All our infrastructure financial institutions have simply melted away. The only infrastructure institution left is NABARD. I think we need to protect this jewel and ensure that its investments yield returns by which NABARD itself becomes much bigger and the entrepreneurs, especially rural entrepreneurships, gets a fillip. As otherwise, there is also a chance that we might lose NABARD in the same way as we lost the other institutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was so well said, actually. You have just compiled everything that was discussed today. So it was it was so nice to hear from all of you, from all the eminent speakers and you. So really enjoyed listening to it, and the important points that has come up today, we would like to just compile it together and then share with our knowledge paper. I would request if there is anybody else who would like to just add their points over here, Raghavan sir or Raha sir or Anurag sir, anybody over here who would like to add further to it before we just close down to our to this program. Yes, sir. Yes, Raha sir.
Yes, I would I like to add something like the basically we need to have more interactive sessions with this farmers and the various units of of logistics, as well as the banking sectors, insurance sectors, and and also the agricultural universities to come forward and create a modern technology and give them the technology advantage, because today's world is driven by technology. It was earlier said that knowledge is power, but today I would say that the information is the power. So today is a era of information technology. So information is of great importance, and we have this Google and everything where we can get the information over a click of a button. So creating that kind of an ecosystem, what Mr. Sivasailam's and other eminent speakers have spoke about, that we need to work upon the various mode of transportation clubbed under the one umbrella and work out. I have been airing my views on various forums that we must have one common transport document, a multimodal common transport document, which is still not available in India, where it is available in other countries, in other continents of the world. When I mean a common transport document, I mean when a produce is made, when a product is made available to be moved, to be transported, the first mile and the last mile are the two most important factors, and the midline of it is also very important. But what happens, our transport documentation changes when there is a change in the mode of the transportation. So from the road, from first the trucking or the road transport, surface transport comes in, there is a different kind of a transport document issued. Then it goes to the railways or to the ships or to the air freight. So then there is a different. So one has to have one single document and one single window. It has to be gone. It has to be a one single gateway to everything. And the government must, and when I mean must in capital, they must create a very friendly and efficient gateway terminal points such as AFS, such as CFS, ICDs, and the airport gateway terminals, and connecting with each other. Like there has to be a mode of transports like the bonded trucking, which is a very important, plays a very important role in a country which is a landlocked in a state like Sikkim. So bonded trucking is very, very important. We must have a customs to take a very important role in this, where the house stuffing and of the factory stuffing of the material is done, and a proper temperature control system is implemented right through and through. The charging point should be available en route. So these are the basic infrastructure that needs to be there. And the most important player, again, I would reiterate that it is NABARD and it is the farmers. We are only the ancillary units. We only come once the produce is ready to ship. Then a logistic person comes in, a logistic unit comes in, not before that. But they should know how the documentation should take place. A DGFT here comes in and plays a very important major role when it comes to export and import exempt. Foreign exchange. So with this, I would conclude saying that we must have a one window ecosystem to develop this Northeast into a gold mine. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's very true. That a single ecosystem that would actually create a gold mine and take Sikkim to the next level. In fact, Sikkim is a place where, like Shiva Salam sir was saying, that it's like all the exotic produce is there. So when we are talking about produce, it's not only flowers, it is also the fruits, different kind of exotic fruits over there, the vegetables over there. So no doubt, like there is a very important part which is waiting for the state to come up. And definitely the private players would also play a very important role in this thing. So NABARD, along with the other private players, the new entrepreneurs, the new startups, they need to come up and join hands together for this. Raghavan sir, would you like to add something on this? Like
the only example that I would like to give is, like for instance, in the US, right? The Montgomery County there in Maryland. So what it does is it encourages people who don't have the wherewithal to buy farms to participate. So one of the ways of attracting diverse talent into farming, because right now is also, let's face it, no youngster or no one, you need to motivate them and attract diverse kind of talent into an industry to generate new ideas and new thought processes. So one of the ways, since we were talking about cooperative thing, one of the ways could also be not that the government stepping in, but creating forums for others to come in. And for instance, if you take even the rejuvenation of Detroit, when the automobile industry collapsed, all that the government did there was they did not invest in Detroit. All that they did was that they tried to get the different players to cooperate with each other. So I think these were two examples that came out randomly, which I just wanted to mention.
So that was actually a good addition to today's session. In fact, it was really great to hear from all of you, sir, and this was very good points that have come up today through the discussions. So I would like to thank all of you, definitely NABARD for just supporting this program. Dr. Hegre, maybe he's not here at the moment. So Shri Anurag Singh, then our Shri N. Shivasalam sir, and Mr. Sherpa, who also just actually gave us some important insights today. Apart from this, we would like to be in touch with all of you in future with all the ideas and new things that are coming up for uplifting the northeastern region and especially the Sikkim. So thank you so much. We look forward, and thank you for your valuable time to us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed.